Welcome to Lecture 2 of DT101, Introduction to Design Thinking. I'm glad you're back. Last time, we introduced the design thinking framework and its 5 stages. Today we go deep on the very first one, empathize. Empathy is the foundation everything else is built on. Get this wrong, and it doesn't matter how creative your ideas are, you'll be solving the wrong problem for the wrong person. Here's where we are in the course. We've completed Lecture 1, which gave us the big picture. Today, Lecture 2, is entirely about empathize. In the coming lectures, we'll move through define, ideate, prototype, and test, each one building on the empathy work we do here. Think of today as laying the groundwork that makes everything downstream more effective. Let's start by clearing up a common misconception. Empathy in design is not sympathy. Sympathy is feeling with someone, it's emotional. Empathy in design thinking means understanding through their experience, not your assumptions. That's a subtle but critical difference. When you empathize with a user, you're not projecting how you would feel in their situation. You're actively working to understand how they actually experience it, which might be completely different from what you expect. Users also often can't articulate what they need. They know something is frustrating, but they can't always tell you why, or what would fix it. Your job as a designer is to uncover those hidden needs. And here's the uncomfortable truth: your own background, expertise, and habits are a bias, not a proxy for your users. The goal of empathy work is to surface what you don't even know you don't know. This brings us to a critical point: you cannot empathize from a distance. Every method that keeps you behind a screen has fundamental limitations. Surveys are fast and scalable, but they only capture what users can consciously articulate. Analytics tells you what happened, how many clicks, how many drop-offs, but it never tells you why. Stakeholder opinions are accessible and often very confident, but they're shaped by role and incentives, not by user experience. Field research, actually going where your users are, is slow and messy and expensive. But it reveals what no other method can. Real behavior. Real context. Real emotion. The lesson here is not that surveys and analytics are useless. It's that they're incomplete. Real empathy requires leaving your desk. When you do go out into the field, the most important tool you bring is not a notebook or a camera, it's a beginner's mindset. This is the idea of approaching every user as if you know nothing, even if you've been working in this space for years. Expertise closes doors. When you think you already understand the problem, you stop listening. You finish people's sentences. You dismiss surprising answers as anomalies. But in design thinking, unexpected answers are the most valuable ones. They're the signals that your assumptions were wrong. Listen fully. Don't rush to interpret. Stay curious. The moment you think you know the answer, you've stopped doing empathy. One of the most powerful empathy techniques is silent observation. The principle is simple: what people do reveals far more than what they say they do. When you observe users in context, you're looking for 4 things. First, behavior, the actual actions they take, not the actions they'd describe if you asked. Second, workarounds, the improvised fixes and frustration points that indicate where systems are failing. Third, context, the physical and social environment where the problem actually lives. And fourth, specifics, you want to record raw observations, not your interpretation of what they mean. That interpretation comes later, in the synthesis phase. Observation is about seeing clearly before you start explaining. Here's a counterintuitive research strategy that design thinkers use: instead of focusing on average users, seek out extreme ones. Power users stress test every edge case and expose capabilities that mainstream users haven't discovered. Non-users reveal the barriers to entry, the things that stop them from engaging at all. Extreme context surface assumptions that feel invisible in normal use. And edge cases, it turns out, often predict where mainstream needs are heading. The reason this works is that average users have adapted to workarounds and friction. They no longer notice the pain. Extreme users haven't adapted, their frustrations are loud and clear. Designing for extremes often makes the product far better for everyone. When you do conduct interviews, the goal is not to confirm what you already think. The goal is to hear the story behind the behavior. Open-ended questions are your main tool. Story prompts: tell me about a time when, get users to walk you through real experiences, not hypothetical ones. When something interesting comes up, use clarifying questions to go deeper, not to redirect. And use silence deliberately. After someone answers, pause. Don't rush to the next question. That pause often prompts the most revealing follow-up. The most important habit: ask why repeatedly. Surface answers almost always conceal deeper motivations. Keep going. The real insight is usually 3 or 4 levels down. Let's look at specific question types and what they unlock. Story prompts: tell me about the last time you. Surface real context, not opinions. These are your workhorses. Clarifying questions: what did you mean when you said, let you deepen a thread that looked interesting. Contrast questions: how does that compare to, reveal what users actually value by making them choose. And here's one to actively avoid: would you use a feature that? That's a hypothetical question. People are terrible at predicting their own future behavior. Always anchor your questions to real, past experiences. Once you've done your observations and interviews, you need a way to organize what you've learned. The empathy map is a simple but powerful framework for lenses that together give you a complete picture of a user. Says, direct quotes from your interviews, the exact words they used. Thinks, beliefs they hold but didn't say out loud, inferred from tone, hesitation, or patterns. Does, the actual observed behaviors and habits, not what they claim to do. And feels, the emotional undercurrent, the anxieties, frustrations, excitements, and aspirations you picked up in context. Most teams only ever capture what users say. The empathy map forces you to go deeper into all 4 dimensions, especially the ones that are harder to surface. After you've filled in your empathy maps and reviewed your field notes, you need to synthesize. This is the bridge between raw data and design direction. The process has 4 steps. First, collect everything, all quotes, observations, and notes in one place. Second, look for themes, patterns that appear across multiple users or multiple contexts. Third, write insight statements, concise articulations of what those themes mean. And fourth, frame those insights as user needs, statements that point toward design opportunities. Synthesis is where empathy becomes actionable. Don't rush it. Stay in the raw data longer than feels comfortable before you start interpreting. Let me close the content section with the most common mistakes teams make at this stage. The costliest one is skipping research entirely, assuming we already know our users. The second is cherry-picking users, interviewing only the people who are easiest to reach, which systematically skews your findings. The third is asking about solutions, questions like, would you use a feature that? Miss the actual experience you need to understand. And the fourth is summarizing too fast, jumping to conclusions before you've sat with the full complexity of what you observed. Good empathy work is uncomfortable. It takes time, and it often tells you things you didn't want to hear. That's exactly what makes it valuable. 3 things to take away from today. First, empathy means understanding through experience, not assumption. It requires going where your users are and observing how they actually behave. Second, the best techniques, field observation and story-based interviews, are designed to surface what users can't or don't articulate directly. Third, before you move to the define stage, synthesize your findings across all 4 empathy map dimensions: says, thinks, does, and feels. Define is where you frame the problem. But you can only frame it well if you've truly understood the person. See you in Lecture 3, where we turn empathy into a precise problem statement. Before we go, here are 3 discussion questions worth reflecting on. First, when have you made an assumption about what someone needed, and been completely wrong? What happened next, and what did it cost? Second, why are extreme users, power users and non-users, often more valuable to study than average users. What makes their experience so revealing? And third, of the 4 empathy map quadrants, says, thinks, does, and feels, which is hardest to uncover? What techniques would you use to get at it? Take a moment with these questions. The best design thinkers are the ones who keep asking them, not just about their users, but about themselves.